Hi, my name is Susan and I have a chronic illness. And I wanted to talk a little bit about accepting the fact that you have a chronic illness. So, my chronic illness developed after an emergency surgery on December 26, 2019. I wasn't diagnosed until a year and a half later. For years, I was diagnosed in probably June of 2021 is when I was diagnosed and put on TPN, and my life went downhill and I kept getting sicker and sicker. At this point, I now have a permanent ileostomy. I have gastroparesis. I have no colon functioning, which is why I have an ileostomy. I have no pelvic floor functioning. And over the course of from June of 2021 until probably until recently, I have spent more time in the hospital than I have at home. But it wasn't until, I would say, April of 2024 that I finally accepted the fact that I had a chronic illness. Between June of 2021 and April of 2024, I kept searching for a cure. I believed that there was a fix, that something was going to make me better, that I wasn't going to live my life like this forever, that I was going to be cured and I was going to go back to having my normal life. And something switched and I realized I have a chronic illness and my life is not going to go back to the way it was prior to December 26, 2019, that my life has changed forever. But once I accepted the fact that I had a chronic illness, it was almost like a weight had been lifted off of my shoulders. It was like, okay, I have this illness and I can either fight it or I can accept it and I can start trying to live life with it. And once I accepted it is when I said, okay, I'm going to start trying to live again. Because before I accepted it and kept searching for answers, I was searching for cures and they just didn't exist. There's ways to help me feel better. There's medications that help. There's medical devices that help. Like my ileostomy has definitely helped my chronic illness. It has given me the ability to eat. I am no longer on TPN. I was back on it for a little bit and we decided that it was time to take me off of it and have me eating normal food again because my ileostomy functions well enough that I'm able to eat, as when my colon was in play and it wasn't working, I could not eat because food was not moving through me. So my ileostomy has changed my life for the better. I still have my chronic illness. I have an ileostomy. I mean, I have to deal with it every single day. I have to empty the bag. I have to do all those things. I have to change the bag. I have to deal with leaks. I have to deal with all that stuff. I still deal with chronic nausea. I deal with fullness from the gastroparesis. I deal with avoidant restrictive food intake disorder due to all of the foods that doctors have told me to avoid over the years because they would make things worse. So I still deal with things. I have chronic migraines because my ileostomy is high output and I have a lot of issues with dehydration, with potassium loss, all of that stuff. But now that I've accepted that I have a chronic illness, I started living again. I started a blog. I started a YouTube channel and I've started doing stuff on my TikTok account. And you might be wondering, like, okay, that's great. Like, you're doing social media stuff, not a big deal. But all of that has been in preparation for me to launch my coaching business. As of October 11th, I will be a certified life coach, but I am going to be coaching people with chronic illnesses on how to accept their illness, how to set goals, how to create a meaningful and purposeful life, how to live life with a chronic illness, just different things like that. And we're in the process of getting my website up and running. So yes, starting a blog and YouTube and TikTok doesn't sound like a lot of things, but there was a reason why I was doing those things, which is to direct clients to so that they can read my story about my chronic illness to know that I am relatable. I also have a background in social services and used to coordinate in-home services for people with physical disabilities. So I've been on the provider side of things with chronic illnesses, and I've lived with a chronic illness. But once you can accept that you have a chronic illness, your world will change. And it's not easy to accept because having a chronic illness changes your life. Your world changes in so many ways. You can't do the things you were once able to do. I was an avid runner. I haven't ran since June of 2021 and I miss it, and I'm hoping I can get back to it. At least jogging. I'll settle for jogging. I love doing yoga. I don't really know how to do yoga with an ostomy bag. I believe you can do it, but I think there are certain positions that would probably be hard to do on your stomach laying on a stoma. I used to work in social work. I can't work a regular job. I've had over 30 admissions. I spent more time in the hospital than at home over the past 3 years. No employer would put up with that. I've had to figure out something to do that works around my schedule that I can do no matter where I'm at. Going back to school, taking classes online is another thing you can do if you have a chronic illness and life is unpredictable, because no matter where you are, you can always grab your laptop and do your schoolwork. Figuring out things that you can do once you accept you have a chronic illness, creating a life around the fact that you have an illness that is unpredictable, but figuring out the things you can do and the life that you can have. You can still go out with your friends, and maybe sometimes you have to cancel and just, hope that they're understanding. My husband and I do date night, and there's been some nights where we're supposed to go out for a date and I'm just not up for it, and he understands. Or plans with friends that get canceled, or sometimes I go and it's just fine. And sometimes I go and I probably shouldn't have, but I still end up having a good time. All I'm saying is, once you get to a point of accepting you have a chronic illness, is when you start having the ability to start living again and not being identified as your illness. You are a person with an illness. You are not your illness. And your chronic illness most likely doesn't have a cure. It can only be managed. But you can figure out ways to manage it enough that you can create a meaningful and purposeful life.